Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you are listening to this latest episode of the Secret Sorceress Society. Believe it or not, we've already had an hour off air and we've still got so much to talk about. I am with the most amazing Eleshia Harris, my longtime bestie, my partner in crime, the woman who stood beside me, and who I stand in awe of her amazing podcast. So if you haven't gone and listened, she says at the start of her own podcast, but if you haven't gone and listened to the Eleshia Lifestyle Show, please, please, please. I know I got that right, E.
The Eleshia Show.
The Eleshia Show. It's just that simple. The Eleshia Show. Please, I'm always sharing the episodes. In particular, I mentioned in the last episode, the episode 2 about grief, which was a very, very profound. But if you're interested in listening to a holistic business coach, then E is the woman to go to. So good morning.
Good morning. Oh my goodness, you're trying to make me cry, like right at the beginning of this conversation, my love. Thank you. That was an amazing introduction. I am so pleased that I'm here again. And obviously we're in each other's lives so much because, we've known each other for so long, and our lifestyle, the work that we do is so interlinked that it's just amazing to be doing this journey with you, Mary.
Absolutely. And if you're watching the video, if you look over E's shoulder, you're going to see the book that we co-authored, The Women Who Gathered. And, it's been really interesting. I've had to take some time, and I don't know if anybody else listening can identify with this, but when the book was finished, I couldn't even look at it.
Right?
Yeah, I couldn't look at it. I couldn't open it. I could see other people messaging me saying, oh my goodness, thank you for your chapter, your this, your that. And I was like, I can't even look at it. And then last week, I literally was called. So I got my cacao and my candle and I just let the book open where it needed to open. And I've just continued to do that. And then I've had a little bit of a break. And that's not because I'm not incredibly proud of what we've done. I think it was just, it's a lot. There's a lot of energy in that book. There's a lot of real heartfelt stories in that book.
I am so glad you said that, because everything that you just said is everything that I felt too. I got the book and I looked at it and I was almost too scared to open it. It was like, I've wanted to do this for so long, and now my words are on paper, and I'm too scared to look at my own name in print. Does that make sense? And then to read other people's stories, and I know, like yourself, I'm an empath, and so I will get stuck in those stories and how those women were feeling. And June was a really hard month for me anyway. And so the book launched, then everything that happened to me in June happened, and we'll probably talk about that later on. And then July came and it was summer holidays, and then August, and now we're in September. I mean, how has that happened? But I'm so glad you mentioned it, because I was speaking to my grandma the other day and I was saying to grandma, like, did you know that I'm a co-author, a best-selling co-author, grandma? And she was like, you told me, but I didn't realize that it was real. And that made me think to myself, wow, yes, it is real, but I have not spoken about it enough. If people have not heard me when I've spoken. So that was a real lesson to me. And I think, like you mentioned, is it about not feeling that you are allowed to actually feel confident and celebrate yourself?
And that is so interesting, because this is the second book that I've co-authored. So a big shout out to all the women from the Girls Who Refused to Quit, Volume 3, where we were led by Cassandra Farron, amazing supporter of authors as well. And I still haven't written anywhere, I don't think, author after my name. And I mean, I can remember when I got my degree, I didn't even want a photo taken of me in my bloody gown and, you know, boater and all the rest of it. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Is it about worthiness or is it about, I don't celebrate the wins? Because I think that's something a lot of us, don't we? We put all this energy into something and then it's like, yeah, that's done. What's next? What's next? What's next?
Yes.
You know, and certainly having worked in like some multi-level marketing and sales, you know, it's like you've achieved that goal and yes, there is celebrations, but then next month you're back to zero when you're kind of starting again. So it's very interesting again, and we're going to talk about this. So this episode, one, I want to talk about your exciting new program that's launching this September. So we are recording this right at the beginning of September 2022. In case anyone is listening, you know, 10 years later and thinking, well, where's the special offer and what, you know, what, how come you two now are on a Caribbean beach doing, you know, Jack J, when we're done. So I really want to talk about the program that's coming. I want to talk about its journey because I feel the journey that you've taken to getting to this point is so aligned with what it is that you're actually going to be sharing, that shows the validity and the alignment with the program and how and why we all need to be party to this kind of program. It's all took 18 months since we did our little series. You know, I was
going to say it wasn't little, it was huge.
You know, six episodes on the Eleshia show. So again, feel free to go back and listen and look at that, and just how much we've grown and evolved, and you know, things have moved on. So that's kind of the framework for our conversation today. As always, I'm going to intersperse it. We're going to have a few breaks. I'll do some readings if you're watching online or on YouTube. And there'll be music for those of you that are listening on the radio show. But other than that, tell us all about your latest adventure.
Oh, wow. So I'm glad that you mentioned our series, because it is all based on the series. And it gave me the idea that the Harness Your Female Cycle to Live in Flow series that you and I did back in, I think it was, we recorded in March and then we released it in, I believe, July. The relevance of the conversations we talked about then really made me think that we needed then to implement. Like, I am an activator. So when I did my strengths the other day, I knew that I am aligned to the work that I do, but I love to research, but I also like to help people to take action. And so the podcast for me was amazing because it really gave people food for thought about what they should be doing throughout their whole female cycle. And we didn't just talk about when you have your bleed. We talked about every week, every day that you live in, you know, over that 28-day cycle, the 30-day cycle, the 31-day cycle, and the things that you should be really considering to do just to live from a good place of wellness and well-being.
Yeah.
And we did those episodes were about 30-40 minutes long. Yeah. And so we packed in a lot. And then I was like, okay, we've packed in so much that we've given people a lot of information. And so I've taken the podcast and I have built out a course all about it. And I recently changed the name because I was thinking, Eleshia, stop shying away from what you do. So it's called now grow your business by harnessing your female cycle, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And that's what I help other women to do.
Yeah.
And the information that you and I have been sharing, that's what we've been living by.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's really gained us a lot of success in growing our businesses, but keeping us well whilst we do it. And so I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Mary, I'm so excited because we are going to take that full journey.
Yeah.
You know, at the beginning, we're going to talk about what actually happens in that time, you know, hormonally, you know, just giving you a brief overview, because yes, sometimes we think we know. And a lot of the time we do know, but we just need that reminder. And so that module is all about that, you know, quick overview. And then in the second module, we talk about, you know, what you should be doing from a food perspective, movement, you know, supplements, well-being, and the art of, you know, scaffolding, like you mentioned in the podcast episode, and how you should be putting all of that together.
Yeah. You know, fantastic. And again, the timing for me, September always feels like the new year.
Yes.
And September is also, you know, we're just coming into autumn. We're coming into that season of releasing, of letting go. You know, we've just been invited by the last, you know, full moon to really think about our rituals. And, you know, we're in this seasonal change where, you know, it's been absolutely blue skies and burning hot, and today it's a little bit cooler. So are my rituals still relevant? Are my day-to-day, my scaffolding? And the scaffolding was a term that was introduced to me by Jessica Drummond when I was doing her integrative women's health program, and I really love it, because, you know, that is what we need. And as you're going to share, and, you know, I share, we need more scaffolding at certain times of the month than we do at others. So the program wasn't originally going to be released in September, was it?
No, it was not. It was the date
a summer program, wasn't it?
It was going to be a summer program. I was going to open the doors in June, and then we were going to start in July, and it was going to go over the summer, like last year when we did summer school, and that worked really well. You know, so that was my idea. I was like, yes, let's do it over the summer. Let's still have some time to really think about our businesses as well as our well-being while we're in the crux of, you know, summer holidays and so forth. But that didn't happen because, like I mentioned, we had two deaths in the family in June, and we also had the book launch, my mum's passing anniversary, and then a week after that, my husband's grandma died, and then a week after, well, 6 days after that, one of my good friends' mum died.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, I do not have the capacity to really call in all of these wonderful women that I want to work with, and to be able to serve them to the level that I want to serve. I don't have the capacity. I'm completely drained.
Yeah.
And so I had to take my own advice, and I was like, I can't do this. I have to pull back and make the decision that I am going to reschedule the launch date and be okay with that. Because life was still happening, right? You know, although everything was happening, I've still got a 3-year-old who was on holiday. I'm still looking after my brother who's on the autism spectrum, and still serving clients and being a wife.
Yeah.
And so to add on more, I was just like, I can't do it.
Yeah. And out of curiosity, do you think that's a new way of being? Or do you think if we'd spoken to E 4 years ago, before Ellis?
Oh no, before Ellis, I was in my corporate job, loving my life, you know, I was enjoying being that busy bee, making six figures and, you know, and grinding.
And do you think you know, because that's a lot, isn't it? You know, I always know that June's anniversary of
Yeah,
Mama,
yeah.
but then the universe, the world, life, you know, it thought it needed to throw on a few more layers. If
Yeah.
those layers had happened in the corporate world, do you think you'd have given yourself as much grace? Or she says, I know I'm being a bit close leading questions, but
And I don't think I would have allowed myself to be vulnerable
yeah,
enough to show other people that I need more space. And equally, I don't know if the company would have allowed me that space.
yeah,
See, I was really lucky when my mum passed away, I had a really amazing um, program manager. But behind that program manager was a really amazing secretary who was very, very good to me, you know, and she spoke to my program manager and she said, give Eleshia whatever time she wants off. And
mm,
that's unheard of, you
mm,
know, especially
mm,
in the corporate world where I was a contractor.
mm.
So she was just like, it doesn't matter. It can be unpaid, it can be paid, you know, you take the time that you need. But
Mm,
me being Eleshia, I was like, I'll take the time, but I'll only give myself, you know, 6 days,
yeah,
and I'll use my holidays
yeah,
because I didn't want to be seen to be taken advantage of that situation, even though you know, in hindsight, they were allowing me to have that space to mourn my mum.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can relate to
Yeah,
that as well. And as you were
yeah.
talking, you've just reminded me. I can remember when my sister was dying, and you know, we'd sort
Mm,
of been given so many weeks, and my mum had gone out. My sister lived in San Francisco, and my mum had gone out, and her husband rang me and basically said, "I've booked you a ticket. You're there for a month." And I was like, "How can I possibly leave my corporate job
mm,
for a month to go and sit by the bedside?" You know, it was like, "No,
mm,
don't be ridiculous. I need a return." And I also remember my then boss, who was also a woman,
mhm,
saying, "I don't need to give you any time." And
mm,
so I had, you know, I had my own hustle. I'm just going to do, I mean, I literally gave myself a day. When Sarah died, I gave myself one day and then I was back at work because I was kind of like, what am I doing? I'm sat in this house. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to grieve. I don't know how to honor. And I'm just going straight back I'm just going straight back to work. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned over these last few years is we've really learned to honor our wisdom, our intuition, our cycle, and our energy. Is it? I don't know what I would have done differently, but I know now if something like that happened or when something like that does happen, I know to be very, very different. And I'm so protective of my energy now.
mm.
So protective of my energy.
Yeah, I think your sister and my mum are our teachers
Yeah.
now. Bless them both,
Mm,
because whenever I am in that space where I feel like that knee-jerk reaction to push through, I've always got that reminder
yeah. Yeah.
of my mum. And then also, you know, and you were with me throughout all of that time where my body was fully inflamed. I
Yeah.
pushed through,
Hmm.
I pushed through for that 18 months. And then, you
Yeah.
know, the burnout was really real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, and then the fertility issues
Hmm.
were even realer.
Yeah.
That was tangible, right? So the
Hmm.
burnout was like, okay, yeah, it's happening. I just need to take the time out. But when you're told that actually you're not going to be able to carry a baby naturally, that was real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good time just to have a little break while we just gather ourselves. And I think I'm going to take a reading from the book Sacred. So if you want to hear it, please jump on YouTube. Otherwise, we'll see you in just a moment. And she brought them together in sacred circle. Their souls, their spirits, and their teachers followed. To hold their breath as precious and to guide them into their light. To remind them of that delicate and spacious place between their human and their higher power, as they fell deep into their own silence, was above and beyond magic. She held space for that silence, for words to fall, for thoughts and pictures and memories to release, and for treasured surrender into the medicine. The breath and the plants held hands and danced the whole time. So that is reading 103 from Sacred by Lynette Allen.
And you just opened that page, didn't you?
I literally just opened that page.
And we just literally mentioned our mum and your sister
being our teachers.
Yeah.
So welcome back. And literally the reading that I've just read, which is number 103 from the book Sacred by Lynette Allen, was talking about being guided by our teachers. But also for me, I want to take it a little bit further, the breath. Eleshia and I have both worked with Pilates, and so I'm thinking there Pilates breath, and Eleshia still very much works in the world of Pilates, but also the plants. And if you want to go back and listen to my last episode about plant medicine according to Cherokee legend, then yeah, beautiful, beautiful synchronicities there as always. So that was June.
Yes.
And then you were going to hold it maybe a little bit later, or did you go straight to July?
And then I was like, okay, well, I can do it in July instead.
I'll be fine, life will.
I'll be fine. And then I was like, no, no, love, no. Like the messages were coming, fast. And then you've got to remember people pass, and then you have funerals, right? So in July, I had 2 funerals in one day 2 funerals in 1 week after not doing any funerals for some years. And then going through that emotion as well brought back everything from my mum's passing. And I was just like, why? Why am I trying to do this? And so there was a level of me having to have that real strong talk with myself, Mary, to really recognize that you don't have to. You don't have to always you don't always have to show up for others. It takes some time to heal yourself. And I am I'm a great believer in that now. Like we've just spoken about in the first segment, I wouldn't have done that 4 or 5 years ago. I would have just pushed through. But now it just makes me recognize that, like you said, I've evolved, and I want to be that person who really practices what they preach.
Yeah, and I've just also had a bit of an epiphany, as I call them, because both of us are self-employed, but both of us also work with a lot of women who are in the corporate world, employed, and they genuinely don't have the luxury of going, do you know what? I'm going to push that project back
Mhm.
because there's somebody else setting the goals and the timelines. So I'm going to ask you what advice you would give them,
Yeah.
but I'm also going to make the observation as to I wonder if that's why sometimes it takes us much longer to heal
Yeah.
and to grieve because we don't have the opportunity to fully sink in and honor all
Mhm.
of the emotions and the energy. I'm just curious, but more importantly, there may well be women listening thinking, well, that's great, Eleshia, you could just move your project back, but I was given 1 week off work and a day for the funeral, and then I had to get my ass back in the next day and crack on with my work.
Yeah, and I'm happy you asked that question because I can definitely resonate with that, obviously. But I also speak to that in the course because not
Yeah.
everybody's going to be wanting to grow their business per se. But however, you are your business,
Yes.
regardless if you are an employed person. And so for me, when I came back from the time that I had off, I made a conscious decision that yes, there are timelines and so forth that I need to adhere to, but I can run my day to day how I want to, you know? So for instance, let me give you an example. I used to go, my diary would be blocked out back to back to back to back to meetings, no time for lunches, no time for toilet breaks, no time to actually do the work that needs to be done. I would do the work when I got home. Okay. Or on a Saturday or a Sunday, I would be catching up because I would allow people to book my diary at any time.
Mm,
And then I got to a place where I was like, well, actually, no, that's not productive. That is not productive for me. That's not productive for the business. They're not getting the best out of me, you know? So I used to take the time in my diary. I kid you not, on a Monday morning, I'd look at my diary for the week, and I would make sure that at least 3 times a week I could have half an hour break, and I would block that time out to
yeah.
make sure that I've got time for lunches. I would block at least 10, 15 minutes between each of my meetings. So at least I can go for, excuse me, a wee
Yeah.
without having to rush to my next meeting or be late. And so I feel like, yes, we are all under the pressures when somebody else is our bosses, but actually, are we allowing them to treat
Yeah.
us that way because we are putting up with the way they are treating us? So
Mm.
again, I had a boss who would email me on a Sunday night because she knew that I was catching up on a Sunday. And one Sunday, I woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. It means that every weekend, I'm effectively working 6 days a week to catch up on a job that is paying me great. But then when you think about all of the additional hours you're doing,
Yeah.
are you really getting paid that well?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do believe there's an element of us taking back some of the control and really mirroring how we want to be treated, because
Definitely.
people are going to treat you the way you show them to
Yeah.
treat you.
Yeah.
And so I had to take back that control, Marion, and I think that's what a lot of us don't recognize, that we have the capability of doing, is
Ab-
taking back some of that control.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, what I heard you saying there was talking about the importance of scaffolding.
Yes.
So scaffolding can be things like, instead of catching up with emails on a Sunday night, preparing all your lunches so that you've got really good, nourishing food for the week. Because I certainly know for me, if I'm not fed well, Oh my gosh,
100%.
I'm not getting the best. No one's getting the best of me by the end of the week at all. And just, having those opportunities, and maybe as well, it's about saying no to some of the social engagements. I know quite a few women this summer are coming into the autumn feeling really depleted
Yes.
because they have been so busy catching up with everything and everyone, all the weddings that weren't had, all the 50th, all the big
Yeah.
birthdays. I'm saying 50th for some of the listeners, it may be
Yes.
30, but all of the big celebrations have all been packed into what has been the most glorious of summers
Yes.
anyway, with the weather and everything. And then we're coming into this season, and already we're starting to see, I taught group fitness, community group fitness for 18 years.
Yes, you did.
Every September, the mums would go down like 9 pins.
Yeah.
Every September. And now we've got, we're not going to, we've got
Yeah.
added extras thrown in and around that. And it's just like, right, pull, as we say, pull over.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's check under the bonnet. What do we need to put in place? Let's really get in tune with this season and our cycle, because there are times of the month to come within. There are times of the month to go out and be rah rah razzmatazz. There are times of
Exactly.
the month when we are much better to have those influential conversations.
Yes. Yes.
And then we've got all our energies around us. But if we are not replenished, and if we are not honoring our seasons, and some of that's deep rooted, big girls don't
Exactly.
cry, a lot of us maybe are living with parents, who lost people in the first, and grandparents in the First and Second World War. There'll be cultural,
Yes.
beliefs that have come in from how we show up, and, Sunday best, and we've got to look this way. And, we keep our emotions locked in because, there have been times in our history where that was not, there was
Yeah.
no time and it wasn't allowed. And we just had to get on and
Exactly.
do. And many of us still hold a lot of that in our bodies, in our way of being. So talk a little bit more about what's going to happen over the 6 weeks, so that the
Yeah,
listeners can really
sure.
understand. Yeah.
Sure. So this course came about where I was actually just going to make it an evergreen course. We were just going to have the modules, and people could just
Jump
go on my
online.
website
Yeah.
and do the modules on their own. But like I said previously, I am a implementer, so therefore, and you and I have bought enough courses along the way where
Haven't
we've
even looked
started to,
at.
right, and then you're like, oh, that course was a waste of money. But was it really? It was just
Yeah.
because you didn't take the time out to actually dig into the information and then take action, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I've decided, that, over the course of the 6 weeks, we are going to really dig into each of the modules. I mentioned the first two modules. Again, we're going to look at what actually happens. And then in the second module, we're going to start looking at what happens from a well-being perspective. And then in the third module, sorry, we're going to start looking at what you need to do from a business perspective and a day-to-day perspective. Like you just mentioned, when should I be showing up? When should I be doing my lives for Instagram and, being all singing, all dancing, Eleshia? When should I be doing my planning? When should I be doing my execution? When should I
Yeah.
be having those important conversations? So then we're going to split all of that down into the phases as to when we should be doing all of that.
Yeah.
Module 4 is all about bringing it all together and really looking at the previous 3 modules and actually starting to build out a plan of action. Because what I want
Oh,
you
you always
you all,
take action with Eleshia.
yeah, exactly. But I want the participants to really know that this is going to be a framework that they can use over and over and over again. Just go back and start to rinse and repeat and tweak and see what has worked for you in this phase of your life,
Yeah.
and make different tweaks for the next phase.
Yeah.
And so my the biggest thing for me is everybody needs to know that we have everything within us, but we have to have the confidence to be able to use it. And that's why, you know, holding this container of just 15 people and keeping it ultra what's the word I'm looking for?
Bijou and
Yeah, intimate.
intimate. Yeah.
Because I want to get to know all of the
Mm,
participants as
mm,
well. I want to be
mm.
there to be able to cheerlead them and mentor them and, you know, really help them to grow within themselves, grow their businesses if that's what they're looking to do, and actually know that they've got a plan of action that they can take into the world and use. And so that's what we're going to be doing over the course of the 6 weeks. We're going to start on the 25th of September with a planning session. Prior to that, you know, the doors open on the 4th, which is today. And so we have that period of when people are coming in. And
Yeah.
so in that time, people are going to have access to modules 1, 2, and 3 so that they can go and have a look and
Nice.
start to really get comfortable with the information. And then we're going to start with a planning session, and then we will go into live module coaching and implementation sessions. So yes,
Yeah.
I want people to get their return on investment straight away, Mary.
No,
Like,
I'm loving that. You've just given me a really nice idea as well for
yeah,
some of my, yeah,
yeah,
because again, that just going in and getting familiar means you're not showing up on the first day either thinking, oh, what's this all about and where's it going? And also, as you were talking, you know, and you were saying, you know, I think it was in module 3 where we're really looking at that, you know, where are we going, what's coming up, and all the rest of it, and when do I show up? You know, there may be some women listening thinking, well, I don't need to show up on Instagram, but those are the opportunities where you can think about having, you know, appraisals or deep
yes,
conversations or brainstorming meetings or doing, you know, getting people together and
yeah,
listening in different ways. It might even be when you have those challenging conversations with your partner and you get into the,
yeah,
you know, you allow the masculine energy to come up, and that's not about gender, you know, doesn't, we've got
yes,
masculine and feminine energy in us all the time. And I think the biggest differences I know for myself, and this is, and I'm sure this is the same for you, is I used to operate always in my masculine.
yeah,
Keep running, don't show your emotions, do, hustle, 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 push through. Oh, don't be so pathetic, big girl's pants on, smash it. You know, all of that language that you used to see around myself and my business, to honoring, being in
yeah,
flow, being present, nurturing, softening, feminine. Oh my God, you know, no, feminine is incredibly powerful when we, and feminine's very powerful when we allow, if we're talking gender, the males in our lives to allow
this is it,
their feminine in, but
yeah,
also, God help many of the men that have been in my life historically, because I was always in the masculine. I was
yes,
always in control and doing. So it sounds absolutely fabulous.
yes,
Just before you get the opportunity to tell us how people can find it and sign up, let's just have another little break for a
yes,
few moments just to gather our thoughts and reflect on everything we've just shared. And I'm going to take a reading this time from The Right Words by Donna Ashworth. So, another beautiful author. And let's just see. As always, the voice. Listen to the voice that tells you no when something's off, the prickle of your skin when something isn't what you thought. Listen to the goosebumps alongside something new, the flutter in your gut when the path is right for you. Listen to the friends who come inside when lights are low, the ones who stay to clear when the party people go. Listen, if you must, to the other friends you have, but they are often not around when you are sad.
Mm.
Listen to your elders if their smiles are wise and true. They've many tales to tell you and your worries they've been through. Listen to the people life delivers at your feet. the ones you've owned no idea how you even came to meet. Listen carefully to all the voices in your life, but heed me when I say there is one who'll bring you strife. That nasty little voice that seems to live inside your mind, the one who says you're useless, the one who's never kind. It's that voice you must be aware of from your dawn until your dusk. If it wants you to feel worthless, wants you to wear down to husk. A voice you made yourself when the world first broke your heart. A voice that yours to silence so a brand new life may start.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those two readings, I cannot.
yeah. So welcome back. And again, I really invite you to go and listen to the readings on YouTube. I've just read The Voice by The Right Words by Donna Ashworth. And this is very much how I know I now live my life, and I'm sure Eleshia does as well. So the reading about the voice is very much about quietening the voice inside you. And I know your program is very much going to help women do that, because there are sometimes that nasty voice comes up at different times of the month, particularly when we're not replenished again. And, you know, that can affect ourselves, it can affect our business, it can affect our relationships. But for me, when I now take a book and I close it and I hold it between both hands, so I'm connecting the masculine and the feminine energy, and I'm really taking that book into my heart, and I'm reflecting and thinking about, you know, the conversation we've just had, and I open the book and the magic in the words, the spells come out. For me, what I now simply hear is alignment.
Yes.
I don't think, oh, that's spooky, or wonder why. I just think aligned, aligned. And that for me is very much how I want to live my life now, how I know you're living your life now, and also how the programs that we're bringing out into the world is we want to share that magic with others
Yes.
and show them how they can also show up aligned as well. So how do we find out about the program? Where do we find out about it?
Yes, it is on my website. So that's eleshialifestyle.com. And I will make sure that you have all of the information on there. And yeah, you can find the sales page on that website. And I just want to invite people to really recognize that this program is for you, you know, first and foremost, but it is going to help so many people around you as well.
Yeah.
Because once you said, like you said, once you get quiet and clearer and have the confidence to really dial into the things that you should be doing for yourself, life gets so much easier.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that from, you know, like you said, like a woo place, but I'm saying that from experience. You know, I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening 4 or 5 years ago. I had to get very quiet. I had to make the space to be able to do that. And so, you know, some people may be thinking 6 weeks, oh, that's a long time. But in the grand scheme of things, is it really? And to know that you'll have other people who are in that same community as you, wanting to do the same thing and holding, you know, holding space for you and keeping you accountable as well, you know.
And is it an hour a week? Is it 2 hours a week?
Yes, so it's going to be 2 hours a week, and it's not going to be, there is no Facebook private group. There is a community that I am building out for you on a different platform, so we don't have to worry about algorithms and all of that stuff.
Notifications.
Yes, you don't have to worry about all of that, because, you know, I have invested in another private community so that yeah, we have that space, and, you know, and that safety, knowing that we're going to be seen and held in that amazing space, you know.
And again, so in keeping with the season, so it's no surprise to me that September has become the launch date. You're
Yeah.
literally just launching and start, well, you're not, you're opening right
Mm.
after autumn equinox as
Yes.
well. And we all talk about spring cleaning, but we also need to do the autumn decluttering and the letting
Yes.
go of the leaves and anything that's cluttered. And, if anyone's a gardener, we're out there now starting to, rake things out, prune
Mhm.
things back if it's the right time, removing and putting bedding plants somewhere else. I've got a beautiful plant that my girlfriend bought me, and it's a jasmine plant. I need to bring it inside because it will not
Yeah.
survive the winter, all of those things. So I really do invite you to take a look at this 6-week program and really think about 12 hours is really going to help me declutter, bring things back into order, reconnect me with myself after the summer of being
Yes.
out there and, whoop, whoop, whoop,
Yeah.
whoop, and bringing it in. And then you've got that, then we're into winter, and then we get a chance to really embed it.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure I look forward to hearing all of the success stories and how people's,
Yeah.
and like you say, business doesn't just necessarily mean financial business.
No.
It's business, my business, me.
Yes.
I am my business.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that you always get me
Yeah,
anyway, but
yeah,
I love that you got that in that just sentence, because it is about this being our
absolutely.
business. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, any final words of wisdom before we finish this morning?
Yeah. Just remember that you are an amazing being and you are the investment.
Mm,
And I didn't recognize that for a very long time.
hmm
And if you've had the chance to read my chapter in the book, or if you've got the book, open it up to my chapter and I tell you my story. I was very much a people pleaser,
hmm
and bringing everybody's thoughts and how they wanted to live their lives. That was the most important thing for me, making sure that everybody else was happy, but Eleshia was, crumbling inside. And so remember that in order to be okay for everybody else, you need to take the time for yourself. And that's what this course is all about, is just really dialing into taking that time for yourself and recognizing that you are important. And then, you know, building that confidence then to run your business, you
Yeah,
the way you want to be seen.
absolutely. And you may even surprise yourself when you come to realize, because for me, oh, 3 years into doing
Yeah.
really owning this work, because before I've
Yes.
always skimmed over it, but I am actually a much quieter person, and energetically I need to be invited to share, and I
Mhm.
was constantly pushing myself out there. And the more I've come to understand that, actually, the fact that if I did something big, or did a big event, I then needed to recuperate, wasn't about weakness. I now plan that in.
Yes. But there you go. This is what we're saying for all
Yeah,
of those corporate women. You know, you have to plan in your rest.
yeah. You go and do a great big huge event,
Yes.
or you're responsible for the corporate whatever, and it's a
Yes.
weekend, or and we all know what it takes to involve any kind of, or maybe you do charity work, and you're out there, energy
Exactly.
is out, out, out. Oh my, I mean, I went on a beautiful retreat only 10 days ago. I had 2 days off afterwards because
Yeah.
I knew I lay on my
Energetically.
side energetically. And I'm going to be sharing that in the next podcast, things I've learned about being on retreat,
Yeah.
because I used to do it all wrong for me.
Yeah.
And again, as a people pleaser, I would do things because that's what would make people like me.
Yeah.
But guess what? This time I did things my way. I was still very much part of the community, and I've come away no healing crisis. Energetically, yeah, energetically, I'm still, it's felt good. So for me, I think my sort of final words are from the work, whether if people come and join you for the 6 weeks or they work with me in different ways, but I just love the fact that you've brought that series to life, is giving yourself permission to honor the woman that you are.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I was going to say something else then, but I think we just leave it there.
We do. We do. So I'm going to leave it though with a final reading. But oh my gosh, how blessed am I that we have had 2 hours.
I know, right?
2 hours. This is the only way to spend a Sunday morning.
Exactly. It's true though, isn't it?
Yeah, we just did, and we'll get an in-person done. So I'm just going to take a final reading, and this is from A Woman's Blessing. So this was the first time I was ever introduced to the concept and really started to realize that words could be spells. So this is number 22 for 2022. She hadn't expected to feel that. As tears rolled down her face, it dawned on her, that feeling, the murkiness inside. She took it from the shadows. How did shame get right in there? In that place she'd kept so strong and clear and focused with her quiet. Then it dawned on her. She remembered, in her moment of vulnerability, she'd taken someone way too close and let them straight inside. Insidious, silent tones disguised as love had swept her off her feet, drenched her in a pool of doubt, of fear and sadness she'd hidden. Her laughter brought her back to now. She saw it as it was. Her head thrown back, she laughed out loud. It's gone! Her heart was clear. The clouds just disappeared for her. Relief and calm swept through. She reinstated love and breathed, "You're back, my love, you're back." She thanked her lucky stars, the moon, her source, and love itself. A tremor might have thrown her, but connection brought her back. With trust, intention, and ritual, she had melted shame away. A stronger, wiser queen emerged, nourished, honored, healed, and whole.
Yes. We all have to bring our queen energy. I love that.
We do indeed. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
I wish you every success with the launch of your program, and I know I'll be hearing all about it. But it's a real invitation to work with Eleshia, to work with myself, to find women who've been on the journey, who are allowing themselves to be vulnerable, who are stepping into alignment. All we want to do is hold the door open for you so you can step through it with us.
Yes. Thank you.
And on that note, thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.